Thank you for joining us for our daily devotion from John, chapter 10, starting with verse 19 through 21. Way back in Matthew chapter 16, Jesus is at Caesarea Philippi, and he says to the disciples, "Who do men say that I am?" Well, some say Elijah, some say one of the prophets, and Jesus said, "But you, who do you say that I am?" Peter said, "You're the Christ, the Son of the living God." You know, your eternal destiny depends on what you say about Jesus, who he is. Who is Jesus to you? You know, if he's just a great man, okay, well, if he's just a great man, he claimed to be the Son of God, so he can't be a great man and lie about being the Son of God, or be crazy thinking he's the Son of God when he really isn't. What is there to prove that he really is who he says he is? Well, first of all, you have all of the prophecies about him in the Old Testament, and he's the fulfillment of those prophecies. But then second of all, remember from John chapter 2, he said, "Put me to death, and I'll rise from the dead." Romans chapter 1, verse 4 says he was declared to be the Son of God with power by the resurrection from the dead. So, witnesses saw that. Signs followed that, done by the apostles, done in the presence of multitude of witnesses. The apostle Paul in Acts 26:26 said this was not done in a corner. So, based upon that evidence, who do you say that he is? You've got to answer. You're going to be judged based upon, first of all, who do you say that he is? Well, here we go. We're in that John passage, and Jesus has just said, "I have the authority to lay my life down, and I have the authority to take it up again, and that's a commandment I received from my Father, and I'm being obedient, and he loves me." So we've got an argument striking out. John chapter 10, verses 19 through 21. A division occurred among the Jews because of these words. Some of the Pharisees and scribes and priests finally became believers in Jesus. And here we see kind of the stirring of that. Many of them were saying, "He has a demon and he's insane. Why do you listen to him?" Others were saying, "These are not the sayings of one demon-possessed." Remember chapter 7, they sent men to arrest him, and they said, "Man, nobody ever spoke like this man." Remember the Sermon on the Mount, at the end of the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew 7? He spoke as one who had authority, not like the scribes. You know, this rabbi says this, that rabbi says that. Jesus was saying, I say. And it made sense. So they're saying, these aren't the sayings of a demon-possessed man. A demon can't open the eyes of a blind man, can he? Remember, chapter 9, chapter 10, in the same place with the same audience. Okay? And so he said to the disciples, "Who do you say that I am?" Okay. Now he says to the Pharisees, I'm fudging a little bit to verse 37 of this chapter, but he said, if you don't believe my words, believe based upon the works of the Father that I do. If I don't do the works of my Father, then don't believe in me. But if I do, why don't you believe in me? Have you noticed that unbelief never has enough proof? But belief doesn't have to have a whole lot. Once again, John chapter 5, verse 40, you're not willing to come to me that you might have life. Who do you say that he is? It's more based upon what you want to do, not based upon what you really understand about him. Have a great day.